Hey, Sean, it's been a while since I've streamed up here. Thank you for your patience, and I hope that this sounds okay. My tests seem to indicate that everything's working. If not, sorry. What I'm doing today is showing you. I made a video about a year ago called How to Grow Your Creative Business Without Selling Your Soul. And it was about sort of phase one of what I'm looking at as a three-phase process. Phase one is you look at your business, evaluate your business, and identify what makes it special, what the most important things about it are, what you can delegate, what you can't, things like that. And then the second step is hiring people to help round out and serve that common purpose. And then the third phase, is removing yourself from the day-to-day operations. And this is the phase three is the hard one, because phase three is the one where if you're removing yourself from your creative business, that's not the goal for a lot of us. A lot of us who are creators, I'm a video producer, if you don't know who I am. I don't know why you clicked this if you didn't know who I am, but I'm a video producer, and I always want to be making videos. And the idea of growing my business to a spot where I don't have to show up every day isn't the goal for me. And I know there's entrepreneurs who they want to start a business and grow it and sell it and do it again and again and again. But for those of us who identify as creators or artists, if we're trying to grow something, it's that we can do the thing that we love to do, the craft that we love to do, in a way that can be sustainable. And that involves growing your business and growing your revenue, but it doesn't involve working, backing out of it to the point where we're not involved and getting to do the thing that we love. And so often when we grow our companies, we end up focusing on management and we get away from the craft itself, where yes, you can start to hire people and stuff. And if I'm doing video and I grow this company, then the next thing, for a lot of us, it's, well, I'm never pushing record again. I'm never setting up lights again. I've gotten to the point where I'm doing account management and stuff like that. And we want to be the CEO, but that's not the fun stuff. And so this is why I've been on this journey to grow my creative business without selling my soul. And what I mean by that is without giving up the things that are important to me and without pursuing money above all else. It's important. It's essential to running a business. But if we're focused solely on revenue, we're going to have people who are upset to work for us. We're going to have clients that are upset to work with us. And it just won't be as fun. And so a lot of this is guided by, as I've said before, again, the first video came out a year ago, and I'm posting the second one on Friday, a year later. But it's based on the book Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, which is a great book, sort of how to identify the things in your business that are important and some analysis therein. So what I wanted to do today is sort of to make the transition from phase one of designing my creative business to phase two, where I'm hiring people and trying to build trust with a group of employees and contractors, a team, however it's structured. I'm going to pull up these spreadsheets that I use, that I go through every week to look at the metrics of my company, what's performing well, what isn't, things like that. And so I'm going to share this with you, and it's going to be quite blunt and transparent, and I appreciate your patience and grace, and hopefully there's some value to the vulnerability here. So I've loaded this up, and let me share my screen here. Share screen. No, we're going to start with this one. So I hope you can see this. Let me double check over here. You can't see it. There we go. And I'm going to zoom in a second so you can actually see it. And I'll put myself down there. Here we go. So this is my dashboard, and every Monday, or not every Monday, I've skipped some over the years, over last year. But I started in February after I had done that sort of evaluation in the end of 2021. So beginning of 2022, I went through this list every Monday. Of the four phases of any business are bolded here. Attract, you need to attract customers. Convert, you need to convert those customers. Deliver, you need to do the thing you actually said you were going to do for those customers you've converted. And lastly, you need to collect money from them so that you can keep doing this. So I looked at some metrics that I could reference in here about what how am I attracting? Am I converting? Am I delivering? Am I collecting money properly? And my goal with this, and again, this is all based on some stuff in the book, and my metrics are different than the examples in the book, because some of what we do is very nuanced, and our sales cycle and creativity can be very slow, where it's not like we can make a phone call and find somebody who needs a video today. A lot of times it's discussions where then people are like, oh, I heard you do video. We've got something coming up next year. And then the phone rings a year later, and it's hard to track all that and see how productive you're being. So this is just to go through, and my goal was not to say any individual week like, oh, we've got problems. Look at this. The goal was to be able to zoom out and say, okay, over time, which of these things are snags, which are causing obstacles for us. And so I formatted this where if anything is worse than the target, then it's highlighted in red. So you can see when I first started this in February 7th of 2022, I had posted 4 YouTube videos, and this was my metric for like, am I attracting new customers? And the reason I chose YouTube videos posted is because when I'm making YouTube videos, that's typically when I'm doing a lot of work and getting reps on the camera, and people see it and I post stuff. And that tends to help a little bit, but it's not really a direct, it doesn't lead to sales necessarily, but it's sort of a barometer for what's happening with my output that might be creative and help attract customers. But so for this week, which was higher than the target, I had 0 potential new clients. And then this question, are all pending bids composed? A lot of times I talk with somebody and I'm like, yeah, we'll get you some numbers. And it may take a while to go through those things. Sometimes it's not as urgent. Sometimes it's very urgent. But there have been times where I haven't composed bids and it's like, I need to send them numbers. Like the only reason this hasn't happened yet is because I haven't told them how much it's going to cost. So are all pending bids composed? I hope this is visible. Is this? Yeah, that's visible. Then coming down, this is where it starts to get important. The open projects under the deliver section. I have 2 open projects back in February. No edits were waiting on me. Sometimes there's projects where it's like, it's not due for 3 weeks. I won't edit it yet. And then that can get out of hand. So no edits were waiting on me. Have any clients not provided assets? This is a huge one. And when people ask me, when clients ask me, I just had somebody who we just started working with yesterday. They signed their agreement. They said, after we film, how long is it going to take? Like, will we have it in 4 weeks? And I got to say without hesitation, that fully depends on you, because that's, in my experience with clients, it doesn't take us a month to edit something. What takes so long is approvals and waiting for people to see it and leave comments. And then there's 9 different supervisors who need to weigh in. And then, we need to get you our updated logo and we're redoing our brand. This is what I mean by have clients not provided any assets, is that whether that's the assets of comments, feedback on a draft, and often like graphics and fonts, and we've got a gala coming up and we need to have that logo put in here, but it's not done yet. That sort of stuff. I wanted to put that in here. And then am I waiting on anyone from my team? So they are any edits waiting on me, are all pending bids composed, those are me. But sometimes as I'm working with more and more people, I'm waiting for things from those people. So back in February, no. Was everyone paid on time? No. Was I paid on time? No. Money was probably a little thin right then. Are any bills waiting to be paid? Yes. And are all invoices sent? Yes. So not a great week, it looks like, money-wise, but a pretty good week everything else-wise. And then you can see as I went through here, with my target of 3 videos, as the year went on, 2 videos, 3 videos, 1 video, 1 video, 1 video, 1 video. And this is when I was doing like a live stream once a week. And then my new potential contacts, like 2, 1, 1. So I've got things coming in, but there really was no link between those 2 things. The phone rings when it rings. But then as I went down here, all pending bids composed, really, for the most part, you can see that I'm never struggling to get my bids sent out. And that's the goal of this document. What's up, Dane? I can't see this document and the comments at the same time. So I have to step out here. But what I'm looking for is trends. And you could look up here and new potential contacts. Usually it's 0. There's a couple 1s and 2s in here. And And again, I don't know why I did this YouTube videos posted metric last year, but same with open projects, 2 or 3 open projects, 4 in the summer. We had some stuff in the spring with a gala and a trade show that we produced some stuff at, but usually 1, 2, or 3 projects while I was being diligent about tracking this. That's good. That's about what I'm set up to handle and be happy about. And you can see also any edits waiting on me. Not really. There's a couple little things, and I was diligent about my responses here, where if it was Monday and I was going to finish it Monday afternoon, I always filled this out first thing Monday morning, and sometimes there's stuff waiting for me on Monday. And so these yeses aren't necessarily big red flags to see them that much. In general, I mean, nothing lasted too long as waiting for me. And then also really not a lot of waiting for assets from clients either. And a little bit of waiting for people on my team, but in general, that's not a red flag either. So what I'm looking for in this document is there anything that's always a problem? And spoiler alert, we're about to see it. So was everyone paid on time? I got better at this, balanced the bank account in a different way, prioritized some stuff. I sacrificed paying myself on time a couple times when money was a little lean in the bank account. And then on any bills waiting to be paid, I include my credit card bill in this, which I did pay off, and it's back with some things that I invested in is the language we're going to use. And then in general, I was also pretty good about sending all the invoices on time. So my big takeaway from looking at a year of this is that I did not pay my bills on time. That was the whole purpose of this exercise, where to sit back here and think now, I probably could have remembered that. I maybe wouldn't have realized how dire and consistent it was. But this was what I got, and this is what I was going for, is that trend. So this year I've redone the metrics, and here's the 2023 tab, again with some radical transparency here for you. So I went across horizontally. I pivoted the table and formatted it a little bit prettier. So I don't know why I kept this. I don't like this. I'm going to change it. But YouTube videos posted, if anything, that's just sort of a metric of, am I thinking? Typically when I make a YouTube video, I'm analyzing something, I'm sharing some thoughts on something. It forces me to think, and there's growth in that to me. I don't think it actually attracts customers, but it keeps me sharp, which keeps me engaged, which maybe attracts customers. As of January 9th on Monday, I had only posted 1 video the week before, and no new potential contacts this week. Last week, there is a potential new contact this week. So on Monday, I'll get to have said that, yes, last week had a potential contact. Maybe I should fill these out on Friday afternoons. That might be better. But next up, are all pending bids sent? Yes. Yes, they are. Open projects, I currently have 3, which is on the high side, but not a big problem. I have 1 shoot this week, which just got moved to next week. But I didn't know that when I filled this out on Monday. Projects waiting on a client. I'm waiting for some assets from a client that I'm always waiting on assets from. And I'm waiting on anyone from my team? No. So there's my deliverables. And now, eat bacon every day. Matt Stone. Hey. So now here's the big part. Here's what matters. And this is where we're going to be transparent about what's happening in my financial life. This is the collect phase. And right now with my company, my unpaid invoice total is 0. Everything is paid up. Because we finished all of our projects in early November, everything was paid, and then there were no projects in December, so no revenue, no invoices. So yeah, everything's paid. I did pay everyone on time because of how we switched to do things to make sure that the contractors get paid before expenses do. And then here's the these are the 2 big ones. How much credit card debt total? And I'm including a little bit of my personal. It's a gray line sometimes of what's business, what's personal, but we've got about 15,000 if we're just putting it out there. Most of that is the business's credit card. And then this is the total amount of money in Boom's bank accounts. And this is all of the bank accounts. And we have 7 bank accounts. They are an income account where everything that comes in goes into that account. There is oh, this is actually live. Sorry. I can't see the comments when I'm looking at the spreadsheet on how my screen works, so I got to tiptoe back and forth. And hey, Tade, welcome. I just got your email, and I'm excited to get back to it in a little bit. But on this, this is what it comes down to. So I have 7 bank accounts. I have an income bank account, which any money that comes in, this is when we deposit checks, it goes in there. Any YouTube revenue gets dumped into there. Any tiny shirt revenue from Boom.Pink. Boom.Pink. Oh, I pointed at the wrong side of the hat. There we go. Anything from Boom.Pink, all the money goes into one bank account called income. From that, the first thing we take out, there's a contractor's bank account, and any payments that we're going to owe to a contractor, we transfer that money there, and it goes untouched. That just gets written out to contractors. That way we're never looking at a bank account and saying, I hope I've got the $3,500 to pay so-and-so. Like, I know when that invoice comes in, $3,500 of it is going right to this contractor. I'm going to set it aside, never touch it. Then the other bank accounts get divvied up according to a percentage that I put. And this is from a different book, which is not on my bookshelf right now, also by Mike Michalowicz, called Profit First. And I've made some videos about that. But essentially, I take the rest of my money after the contractor's part is removed, and according to some percentages, I distribute it to myself in an owner's compensation account. I put some in a tax account so that I'm always sort of accruing some money to pay our taxes. I put some of it in an operating expense account, and then I always set aside about 7% that just goes into an account called profit. And that way, if I'm looking at my expense account and I know that I don't have a ton of money in my operational expenses account, then I know that I can't buy some of the things, or that it's going to go onto my credit card debt and stuff like that. And by having everything whittled down to that account, that's the account that I make my decisions for the business based off of. And that way I'm still able to pay myself. I'm always able to pay my contractors, always able to pay my taxes. But if that account for operating expenses gets to 0, then I know, okay, now I've got to cancel Frame.io and Dropbox and all that sort of stuff. And things get lean. So we're pretty close to that right now, but we just had some big business happen this week. Things are going to be fine. It's going to be a good February. But the sum total of those bank accounts right now is $2,700. And right now nothing is owed to any contractors. So that's all money for operating expenses and taxes and me, which is good, which is fine. And then the last thing here, once again, is, are all invoices sent? And yes, they currently are. So this is a snapshot of 1 week of what this looks like. I'll zoom back out, even though then you can't really see what's happening. But the goal is that every Monday, or maybe Friday now, I'm going to go through and reflect on the week just quickly. And these are easy things. I don't want to overthink it. And on any given week, I don't want to look at a red number and say, okay, we got to change everything. This thing's happening. Because things happen for a number of reasons. The goal is to examine trends. And if I'm always having too much credit card debt, then that's a problem. If my bank account is always below 10,000, then that's a problem, and we can address those things. But panicking in any given week and trying to come up with a solution isn't a responsible way to do this. It really is about looking at the trends, and we only do that by doing habitual measurement of a bunch of these little metrics, and these are quick, easy things. And I will probably try to tweak a couple things, especially personally as I design my business. And what I mean by that is it's not about goal setting. Designing my business is about forecasting what I want to be doing and making sure that I'm lining things up appropriately. It's not about picking what I want to be doing necessarily, because I already know that. I already have my goals. Those are consistent. Designing my business is about putting the right things in place and making sure I'm organized so that I can share, so that I can prepare to meet those goals. And things like, I want to be having a big team of contractors that I can rely on to help me fill my projects. But if I'm not paying them on time, that's a problem. So I know that I've got that set up where I can take care of my contractors. And as I look forward to what I'm expecting this year to be, we're launching my kids show this year, and I'm ecstatic about that. It's going to take a little while for that to earn money. But the cool thing is, as we transition to that, I know that I don't want a ton of new clients this year. And if I take any new clients, I want them to be huge clients that can be big projects that are fun and that I can bring a lot of people in on and collaborate more. And so as I look at this new potential contacts, I don't even need that to be one potential new contact each week. That would be too much for me, especially depending on my conversion rate or whatever. So I'm not looking for a lot of new clients. And knowing that is important to picking these metrics. So some of these will change, be added to or subtracted from over the coming weeks as I sort of hone in a little bit more on the design of what this year's business is going to look like. So this is my guiding document. I call it the Boom dashboard, but this is what it looks like when I evaluate my company each week, and how I'm looking for trends to help me improve. So I'm going to close this out and open up one other thing, and this is more personal. This is about my life in general. Let me make sure nothing too incriminating is on here. I am going to take one thing off before I share this on screen. Okay, there we go. Share screen, window, goals. Here we go. Add to screen. Okay, so this is a document I made on the personal side of things, sort of designing my life, if you will. But I've split my life into some different things here. Boom Production is the first column. And so this is the like paying clients, this sort of stuff. You can see on here from 2022, Sam is our fire truck client. SLSO is the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. So we were doing production, actually filming, doing production and post-production for Sam there, and then prospecting a little bit in March. And then my goals were for Boom Production to find more crew, to find an editor, to find a business professional in June. And then I went back through at the end of the year and highlighted the things in red, the things that I failed at. So I never found a business professional. Crystal Lake Camps production with Dane ended up just being, I can turn one of these red. But this is what I was looking for. And then galas, I usually do some videos for different fundraising galas for the nonprofits I work with, do the production in September and the post-production in October. So this was all pretty consistent. These are my goals for Boom Production. Got pretty close to it. Our Little World was on hiatus. This is the name of my kids' show. And as I go into the future, my goal is to do more and more here in this column than I'm doing over here in this column. And so we did our pre-production. We are on target for our 2023 goals, and I'll get to those in just a second. My weight's bothering me. I think I've talked about that a little bit, but my goal weight was to get down to in the 150s. That's where I'm happiest. That's where I feel the best. And I had this plan to lose like 2 pounds a month last year. Failed. Stayed right at that for quite a while. So I'll get to 2023 in a second. But needless to say, my goals were not met for my weight last year. Passion projects, this is where you may call it a YouTube, going down a YouTube K-hole or something. I've heard that expression, but passion projects and learning and growing and just exploring different things is really important. And I was talking to my buddy Ronald the other night, and we were reminiscing on like watching like woodworking YouTube videos and stuff like that. And like when you go down the hole of watching whatever YouTubers videos, and I'm big on Van Neistat right now, Casey Neistat's brother. And as I like finish a night and I'm like, how did I just watch an hour of YouTube videos about something? Like, it doesn't actually help me. And I feel bad about it. But the truth is, there is value in there. If you're okay with spending an hour doing something like that, there is value in there and in what you watch. And so this is where I was putting. So I took Casey Neistat's video class last January. In March, I took Mark Rober's class. And then I did a bunch of tabletop videography, like beer cans and stuff, in February. And then I wanted to record an album of music, and I didn't last fall. And then hobbies, sort of separate from that. These are the things that aren't really video related. And I wanted to do FPV drone, which is video related, but different in some way. And I never really did practice, and I never really put together a showcase of FPV drone stuff. And then lastly, this I guess second to lastly, Boom Apparel. Each year I want to do something for the holidays. Like we did this 2 years, 2021, I think was this logo. And then we did pens for this year. But what I want to do is spend some time in July designing something, produce it in August, and then sell it September, October, November, December. And then lastly here on the life thing, the only big thing I put on September 2022 is when my son started school, which gave me, as a full-time dad, 3 days a week, now 4 days a week, where I get to have some time without the pressure of production. The big thing here, and I guess this one worked. I didn't mark it out as red, but my goal is, in general, if I can, again, these are goals, December, every single piece is marked as vacation. And my goal is to, as I design my business and my life, to be in a spot where video production naturally slows down quite a bit in December. And if I can take December off and just focus on nothing and holidays and family and stuff like that, it's usually when winter break is. And I didn't have any projects in December. I was doing pre-production for Our Little World. But that's my goal, is to get to a spot where each year I can sort of take December and do whatever with. And as we go down the list to next year, you'll see another key difference. But so this was my 2022. Here comes 2023, coded in green. I'll put this all up there. So my weight is down to 175 right now. It's been a productive January so far. I've been eating healthy and working out and stuff for 14 days now. It wasn't quite a New Year's resolution, but it was kind of close. But so I've got, in February, we're doing production for the Sheldon and for Salt and Smoke. It's a restaurant here in St. Louis, or a few restaurants here in St. Louis. It's a really, really good barbecue spot. So that's my February. But then mostly I'm working on pre-production for Our Little World, and we're going to shoot in March or maybe April. We're waiting for the final date, and then go into post-production, and then publishing and promoting the show. And then we're going to start pre-production on the next flight of episodes after that. So that's my rough monthly goals for Our Little World. My weight, I need to update these numbers because I don't think I should go from 173 right down to 158. But we'll do that on another. Oh, here we go. 171, 169, and then we'll just highlight these and expand this out. There we go. We'll say that's reasonable. And then on the passion projects, I've been reading in January. I didn't even really try that much, but I'm reading. I'm about to put out a video tomorrow or maybe today. I don't know. I've been reading the book Together, which is about the science of loneliness, which is fascinating. And I'm somebody who, like everyone, I feel lonely sometimes, and that's okay. And here's a whole book about the stigma about it and the physical consequences of it and symptoms of it, and how you can have loving relationships and a bunch of great relationships and still feel lonely. It's fascinating. But so I'm reading books. What other book am I reading? I forgot my other book. But mainly it's this I'm listening to The Coddling of the American Mind, How Good Intentions and Bad Ideas Are Setting Up a Generation for Failure. And it's a fascinating book about engaging in open dialogue and the dangers of trying to protect ourselves too much from discussion and polarization, and being open to having reasonable discussion, which I feel like fits in well with my motto of love and listen, being able to have a conversation. February, going to make an album. I've been working on it. I've been working with my buddy Drew. We've got like 2 songs that we've done, and I want to keep doing more. And then in March, I want to launch my next passion project called Just One Chapter, which is sort of a StoryCorps, Humans of New York kind of look at a bunch of different people and just do one chapter from their life, something that either makes them very relatable or makes them very unique. And we all have, I think, a story we can tell, and it doesn't have to have a big takeaway or life-changing conclusion. Sometimes it can be somebody you would expect had a very, very similar experience that you had in grade school, or the opposite. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be in March. Hobbies, I started playing golf last summer, and I might try to do it again. And then nothing on Boom Apparel, and apparently nothing matters in my life right now in 2023. But what we've added, and this is the big one, is the July vacation. And I'm designing here. I'm doing my best. And if I can get to the spot where I can coordinate when my downtime is and batch it as a freelancer, this is the goal. Because I think as a freelancer, so often we're on vacation involuntarily quite a bit. We end up with weeks where we don't have work and stuff like that. And if I can instead take those times and consolidate them and plan for it and say, hey, I'm trying to take July off so I can just spend time with my family and my son, and we're going to go camping finally. He's old enough. He got a sleeping bag for Christmas. And I want to do that and not be in a spot where it's like, well, I don't know what July is going to look like right now. I don't know if we can really plan. Like, no. July is going to be vacation time for everything. That's the goal. July and December. We're going big. Because why not? I'm designing this. If I can make it happen, then kudos to me, and you'll be back for the next YouTube video, because when I make a video called How I Take 2 Months of Vacation Every Year as a freelancer, that's probably going to get some views, right? Might even fund one of those months of vacation. So this is the last year that I really put any bit of time into. What happens with 2024 and below is repeating these same sort of things with Our Little World. Do sort of 2 flights of production a year, a spring and a fall. And my goal would be to do 5 episodes each time, like do a week's worth of episodes. And if we can get there, I think then it's not going to be hard to do 2 weeks of episodes twice a year and really start to ramp up our content. But we're moving and grooving. We've got people who are a part of our educational advisors board. That's the next thing. I'll make a whole thing about what's happening with Our Little World, because building a TV show is really exciting. And to my surprise, not that hard. I just made a podcast about it, I think. I don't know. I'm making content all over the place right now. And it's fun. It's exciting. But exciting stuff happening, and it's easier than I thought it would be to make a show, because as a producer, it's the kind of thing where the more you make, or the more plans you make, the more preparation you do, then suddenly you can't get out of things. Like if I hire a bunch of people to show up on a certain day, they're going to be there. And that's kind of the thing about this show. Like we need advisors, we need a lawyer, we need these pieces. And like, so I called them and I got them, and we're starting to put dates on a calendar, and soon it's going to be like, well, we can't not make it because we already made all these preparations. So I'll talk about that more on another stream on another day, but suffice it to say, these are my goals. And then they repeat, these phases of production and vacation into the future. And maybe I put a couple things. Oh, I want to go to the Boundary Waters in 2025, back to the Boundary Waters between Minnesota and Canada. It's beautiful up there. And I went several summers back in high school. I would go every summer on a big canoeing trip, and then big camping road trip the next year. Just put some things on here, some life milestones. So that's my plan. That's my everything. That's how I design my business, and what my goals are and what I'm moving toward. And so if you're working on stuff, if you're trying to figure stuff out, any way that I can help, any way that I can learn from it, or you can learn from me, that's how there's this idea that we can exist as creators in a world, a business world that we create, where we can cooperate and collaborate instead of compete. And I think this competition mindset has creeped in some ways, and there's bad agencies out there who are just trying to scoop up anything and undercut anybody, and their motivation is purely financial, and that's what they do. But for those of us who are on the side, if we want to make some pretty incredible things, we want to do incredible work for paying clients and stuff like that, but there's a way we can work together and respect each other and collaborate and combine our skills along the way to do some really impressive things. And this is my path to getting there. And it's been in card, that's a problem, but help is on the way from some bigger clients this spring. But that's all I got. Thank you. If you've got any other questions or anything, I don't have answers, but I sometimes have experience, which I can lend, and you can pull your own answers from it. Have a great day or night or whatever, wherever. See you later. Bye.